Okay, I'm going to talk about Salesforce testing in a minute, but first a few words on today's review subject. testRigor is a Salesforce-specific online testing service that uses human-based perception model to specify visual tests in plain English. It has an online testing engine designed to improve the long-term reliability of tests. testRigor has a tester-friendly Chrome extension and online service that lets Salesforce platform owners create tests faster and more reliably than traditional Salesforce testing methods. So, let's talk about Salesforce testing in general for a minute or two here. You may be familiar with the unit tests in Salesforce Apex, and this is where Apex code is used to individually test methods within Apex classes. What testRigor does is something quite different, which is to test the visual appearance of a Salesforce org. So, for example, there are tests called end-to-end tests, which test a business function implemented in a Salesforce org. In my org, an end-to-end test is recording a new lead, converting that to an opportunity, and generating and printing, emailing a quote. So, as usual, being a software engineer in Salesforce testing is different than if I was a software engineer working in a cloud-native environment. The main thing that complicates Salesforce testing is that we are programming a cloud-native application, Salesforce, which gets to decide all on its own how it's going to display things on the screen. This decouples the screen output from the application source code that we're writing for Salesforce. In a cloud-native environment, most visual testing engines use the app's source code as a kind of reference. But in Salesforce, looking at the source code or metadata really doesn't tell a testing system what is going to appear on the screen exactly. Instead, visual testing in Salesforce has to be done manually to an extent. It turns out it's so hard to automate visual testing in Salesforce, hardly anybody does it. The exceptions are big Salesforce ISVs who are rolling out Salesforce apps to lots of customers. But enterprises have attempted to automate Salesforce screen testing over the years, and most of those efforts have centered around Selenium, which is a browser automation open source project. This usually relies on using a browser extension to create Selenium scripts based on how a test generator clicks on the screen. The problem is the Selenium scripts depend on the document object model or the exact structure of HTML and CSS that is being streamed to the browser. This is what I call DOM-based testing. The reason why this is a problem is because the DOM changes all the time in Salesforce. You see, they get to render the pages any way they like as long as it conforms to their own visual specifications. The DOM elements being used usually don't have anything to do with the structure of your Lightning page. This type of thing happens 3 times a year with the new releases and even in between releases. That's why Selenium tests are fragile. It makes it because when the DOM changes, a Selenium script no longer functions properly. What is different about testRigor and other second-generation testing tools is they have elevated screen analysis and user test specification to a new level by applying all sorts of machine learning and other advanced data processing techniques. So instead of specifying which HTML element to click, the testRigor script lets you say click products roughly below mark stage as complete. The beauty of using a specification system for the test script is that it will allow the script to survive minor changes in the screen appearance and underlying DOM changes automatically. testRigor tests should be more usable and have a longer utility than Selenium test scripts. So, with that introduction, let's dip into a demo session and see how I use testRigor to make my evaluation. Hey everybody, we're in the demo lab here, and I've got testRigor ready to go to show you how I tested it. And the way I did it is I have an org that I use to run my other business called Telnexus. And what I did is I put a test customer in there called new phone customer. And previously, I've created a script that will go to the phone customer, will create an opportunity. So I made this opportunity button here. And then it goes into here, and it's, can't see it, but add products. And then my test selects this product. Put quantity 1 in here. Save that. And then I have it hit the quote button, which is right here. And then that generates a quote and takes me to the quote screen. And up until now, this is as far as I've gotten in defining my test. So what I'm going to show now is how to extend the test I already have, and it's going to show some of the recording stuff for testRigor. So up here, you can see that I have my testRigor Chrome extension installed and active. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click on Start New Recording here. Oh, you can see it's already got what I'm going to do in here, so I'll take that out. So I'm going to do Start Recording. And what I want to do in this recording is click on this button. And this button is actually accessing a PDF generation tool that I wrote a long time ago, but it's an external API that's running on AWS. So it's testing a lot of things to do that button. And the next thing I want to do is email the quote to somebody, to the test person, to the test subject here. And that's it. So that's all I want to add to my recording. And you can see testRigor is recording here because it's flashing. And now I'm going to stop recording. And these are the two commands that I generated. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to copy this. And now I'm going over to the testRigor app, which I have here. So in the app, I'm going to click on my test cases. I guess I'm already there in my test case. Just click somewhere else so we can go there. So here's my test cases, and it's expanded here. So if I want to edit my test case, this is all of those steps I was showing you, essentially written in the testRigor English-like scripting language. So this is what you do instead of specifying DOM locations. So this is why testRigor is cool, essentially. And now I want to add the commands that I generated. And now I'm going to show off one of the cool features of testRigor, which is the email checker. So I'm going to go over here to the documentation, which is right here. And you see I've highlighted the line I need to copy. And what this says is check that email to a user from another user is delivered. And there is a special domain called testrigor-email.com. So what I've done here is, let me copy this whole line. I'll go back over here. I'm going to paste it in here. And then I'm going to change it for my situation. So the name of my special user that I'm sending the email from is telnexus-user, or no, it's going to telnexus-user at testrigor-email.com from vern@telnexus.com. So that's who is sending it. And there's my telnexus user here. So as soon as I've edited a test case here in testRigor, the very next thing you do is you update it in the app, and then it's going to go about executing the test so that you can determine if your changes are accurate. Now we're getting into one of the more tedious aspects of Salesforce testing, which is to wait for the test application to continue. And as you can see, it's moving here, and I'll give you, let's take a short tour of what's going on here, and then I'll be able to pause and show you more details. So as you can see what's going on here, in this step it says click on App Launcher is what it's supposed to do. So I can click on here, more details, that worked. Let me keep this in my frame. And if I click on here, and I actually expand this in a separate window, you can see over here that this is where it was trying to get its focus. So that focus was here on the app launcher. Put this window away, go back to here, and now you can see it's proceeding along the sequence I showed you earlier. Go to the account, generate an opportunity, and so forth. So I'm going to pause our recording here to give it a chance to finish so that we can see it check the email at the end. Okay, welcome back. And you can see here our test is complete. We have a green arrow, and it did this cool feature here of actually receiving the email that I sent and checking that it was delivered properly. That's pretty cool. So it finished that. And so I've created a test that for me is going to be very useful as a smoke test. So this is like a critical function in my org, and it also tests a lot of things. So if this goes wrong, there's smoke, so there's probably fire somewhere. So it's a good smoke test for me, and I'm planning on using it. So that's my evaluation of testRigor, and let's go back to the conclusion for the review. testRigor gets a 4.0 out of 5 on the Keen and Vision scorecard rating. It has a lot of value helping platform owners to conserve testing resources, but it has some rough edges that need improvement. testRigor definitely works as advertised, where it makes creating visual tests in Salesforce easier. So using testRigor should help with DevOps pipelines, because testing an app under development can increase the speed and confidence with which an app gets deployed. So testRigor elevates Salesforce testing automation from figuring out the DOM to a more human-like semantic model. By using English-like screen action specification language, platform owners who use testRigor may create more tests and use them in more productive ways. Finally, testRigor helps DevOps program managers run more smoke tests and functional monitoring tests. This all helps enterprises increase their release cadence and confidence, which is a primary goal of Salesforce DevOps. So thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe. Visit the website at salesforcedevops.net, and I'll talk to you next time.